Welcome to Live Up to Freedom. Thank you so much for joining me on this Monday, February 9th, 2026, day 44 of Iran's revolution. As I made a promise to myself and to my fellow Iranians and to my audience every day. Every day I'm on air, we will remember their names, their faces, and their videos if available. So that's going to be, it's going to take a long time to identify and then cover and show the over 55,000 faces, but well, that is the mission and that is what we will continue doing. We're live on wordviewtube.com, WordViewTube, Rumble and X account, WordViewTube app, which is available on your App Store. No cost, it's for free. I strongly suggest you install it and turn on your notification. We're also live on X America News on X and live on all of my platforms, which is YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, X, and Substack. I will be joined here in a minute by a very special guest who's no stranger to our audience on all platforms. But before we do that, I want to give you an update on this week's programming. Tomorrow is just going to be me and you guys, because last week I promised to do a normal programming where I get to talk to you, answer your questions, read your comments, but I couldn't do a show Friday. Nothing major, I just couldn't. So tomorrow will be that day. It's gonna be me and you only, and then on Thursday we're gonna have another one of our boots on the ground in London, an Iranian who's gonna join us to give us an overview of what is happening in UK. For those of you who are not following, we had the incident at the Iran embassy in London, where the London police decided to arrest the Iranian protesters for no good reason. And it wasn't just a simple arrest. It was beat him, put him in handcuffs, drag him into police cars. And then, of course, to this day, as we speak right now, UK is one of the few European countries who's still refusing to list IRGC as terrorist group. So we have a lot to talk about as far as UK, London specifically, and the Iranians there trying to support the Iranians inside Iran. So that's going to be Thursday. And that's all the updates I had. I'm working on a very special guest for Wednesday, but I'll keep you posted. Also on Substack, I want to give a big shout out to all my Substackers. I do see your comments as always. You guys are amazing. I appreciate you understanding the circumstances and the situation where I had to slow down. I didn't stop, but I had to slow down on writing daily articles on Substack, because there's just too much, not enough time. So I appreciate you guys staying with me, not leaving, not losing interest, and that means a lot. Last but not least, excuse me, I'm gonna choke apparently. Last but not least, I will be starting the Q&A, 1 to 2 hour weekend Q&A on Substack only. It's not going to be paid subscribers, but you have to be a subscriber on my Substack to be able to join those live Q&As. And I haven't decided either Saturday or Sunday or what time, so I would greatly appreciate it if my Substackers would tell me which day of the weekend and what time of that day works best for them, so we can conclude and start that in March. That's all the updates for now, especially because we're going to be together tomorrow. And I'm going to go ahead and not take much more of this segment, so we can bring on my very special guest. As I said, he's no stranger to my program or any of the audience. However, I will do a brief introduction of my very special guest. Joining me this afternoon is Dr. Jamie Glazov, chief editor of a Front Page Mag project of David Horowitz Freedom Center, also an author of many books, but the newest book that just hit the market, and I want to talk about that book, and I want you to go grab yourself a copy, and that is United in Hate. This is the expanded version, so some of you might have already read his original United in Hate. This is the expanded one, and we will talk about it. So United in Hate, you can get it in many different places, including jamieglassov.com, Front Page Mag, Amazon, and everywhere else. We'll ask him specifically. Without further ado, Jamie Glazov, welcome to Live Up to Freedom.
What an honor to be here. Thank you so much, Annie. I really appreciate it. And my book tour is starting, and this is the first place I'm at.
I was just about to say it is my honor because I didn't know, but right before the show, you informed me that you have given the honor of the very first interview or book tour interview of your new book to me, which is an honor. Let's dive right into it because there's a lot to talk about. Not as specifically the book itself, but the concept of this book, because you started this concept way ahead of itself. As I told my audience, United in Hate, the original book came out, I think 2008 or 2009. I might be off by a year, which was way ahead of itself. But I'm so glad you decided to release the new one, expanded version. So let's just start right there. United in Hate. What does that mean?
Well, thank you, Annie. It's definitely it's always time for an expanded version because this dynamic never ends. And back in the day, it's hard to know when to begin. Let's put it this way. This book really started when I was born. Um, and so my parents were Soviet, they were dissidents in the Soviet Union, and they stood up against a monstrous mass murdering regime. That story belongs in another place. To make a long story short, we ended up in the United States. We were able to escape that monstrosity. I'm 5 years old, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm noticing that there's so many people that hate my parents and want them to shut up. They don't want them to talk about how evil the Soviet Union was and how evil communism continues till this day. So this doesn't stop. And so as a kid, I became very interested. Who are these people? And these were people that loved Stalin, loved the Soviet Union, loved communism. And they would be exterminated by the communists within 30 seconds of contact, or maybe 30 days, just in case they wanted to serve the communists. And so I began a study of the left. I began to study its psychology, what motivates it. And then I gradually began to shift over from the left's love affair with communism, and because I began to notice a love affair with Islam. And so I began to study Islam, and I began to see this romance forming. There was a romance with communism, but also a romance with Islam. And after 9/11, I began to notice, as we all did with those with eyes to see, that the left was cheering. And I've documented this. There was a cheering on 9/11. The left was in ecstasy, and it it already was involved in a romance with Islam, but the romance had escalated. And I document this in my book. And let's jump ahead a little bit, otherwise I will speak too long. That let's take October 7th. And so when I studied that and witnessed it in terms of, what we were researching and the news that was coming out, I knew immediately that the left would fall into a greater ecstasy now and would demonize the victims and say that they were at fault, because that's what the left always does. So when the October 7th Islamic killing machine came into play in its monstrosity, the left immediately escalated its Jew hatred and solidified its alliance with Islam. And so it's time for a revised and expanded version of United in Hate to explain this phenomenon. And it's very clear at this very second, because there is a genocide happening in Iran, and the Islamic monsters are massacring and torturing and raping the Iranian people. The numbers are everywhere and anywhere from 30,000 to up to 100,000 massacred. And you would think that the left that cares so much about human rights would be saying something. But of course, it's not going to say anything. And I'm not saying that I'm all knowing, but this is my specialty, or something that I've devoted my life to try to understand it. And I know that the left will not say anything. And in fact, the left will start ridiculing the Iranian victims and will be minimizing and trivializing their suffering. Because for the left, you cannot go against Islam. And so if the victims are victims of Islam, you ignore them. If the victims are victims of supposedly anything to do with the West and with Israel, then you magnify and exaggerate it. So I study the psychology behind this, Annie. It's a very evil force, what the left is. And one of the chips that I have on my shoulder is that even after I explain this on my show, or no matter what books are written on this, the majority of people, or a very large number of people, will continue with their incredulousness. They will continue. We see this on Fox, even on Fox News till this day, on behalf of many, even conservatives, of, oh, they just don't understand it. Like, so why is this happening? Well, I just don't understand. I mean, this is just crazy. Well, why would the leftist feminists be supporting the Islamic misogynists? And the guest is saying, I really don't get it. It's really crazy. And, do you want to get it? Because it can be explained to you. But the majority of people, I would say, do not want to know the truth, because the truth is too painful. And once people know the truth, they can't have control of the situation. Because if there is an enemy out there that does not want compromise and hates you and wants to exterminate you, a lot of human beings can't handle that truth, because they need a control of the situation, and they have an emotional incapacity to accept really the threat that we're facing.
Exactly. And that right there, of course, needs a 4-hour discussion, which hopefully we'll have you back on to discuss more. But guys, we're up for our first ad break, and I do see your comments coming in, and I forgot to tell you, if you do have a specific questions for Dr. Jamie Glazov, put them on the comment section of any platform you're watching. I'll make sure to ask that question. But for now, we're going to go take our first ad break. When we come back, we're going to continue the discussion right here.
Life is too short to spend a single moment spinning in laundry worries. Take a load off your mind with the all-new Norwex Powerzyme laundry detergent. This natural detergent harnesses the power of enzymes and plant-based surfactants to leave fabrics fresh and clean without fillers, brighteners, synthetic fragrances, bleach, or harsh chemicals. So go ahead, have your cake and eat it too. More than ever, stressful stains have met their match. Powerzyme's fast-acting enzymes break down organic substances, while natural surfactants loosen locked-in dirt and oil, removing residue, stains, and odors with ease. With 91% bio-based ingredients, this dermatologist-tested hypoallergenic formula is suitable for sensitive skin types and delivers a safe and effective clean that won't harm you or the planet's waterways. Less time spent worrying about laundry means you can focus on what truly matters. Norwex Powerzyme Laundry Detergent. Discover the power of nature and load up on confidence.
Welcome back to Live Up to Freedom. Thank you so much for staying with me until now. As I say at the on every single show, you guys help me bring this show or my Substack or my research or anything else that I do. I don't get paid for any of them. So when you see these ads, head over to those URLs, whichever ad it is. And when you make a purchase, commission or percentage of your purchase will turn into commission and comes back to my bank account. And specifically about Norwex, I've told you, I've been using them for well over 7 months now, and I'm a full convert, 100% zero chemical, yet does a great job when it comes to your hygiene, skincare, or cleaning the house. I do have a much cleaner house, and it actually smells clean because there's no chemical. CyrusWellness.com. That is CyrusWellness.com. And tomorrow I get into the details, but we do have a Norwex party coming up that I will send you all invitations. And thank you, Annalise. Guys, be like Annalise. She just added United in Hate to her cart on Amazon. Pick up a copy. I have always said education is the best tool. Educate yourself. And as Dr. Jamie Glazov said on the first segment, it's the matter of, do you want to know the truth? I will second that, and I will top that with, are you willing to comprehend the truth? Because sometimes we know the truth, but we decline comprehension of it. That's where knowledge becomes useless. With books like United in Hate, not only you understand the truth, but then you comprehend the behavior behind what's destructive, not just to the Western countries, but across the world. This destruction is happening because comprehension of the truth is kind of declined by majority of people, not saying all. So pick up a copy of United in Hate and help yourself know the truth, understand the truth, and then take action. Let's bring back our special guest, Dr. Jamie Glazov, to the program. So Jamie, as I said, this is a discussion, just a concept. Originally, when your book came out, the original United in Hate, I have always said it on air, on a stage, privately, that I personally came to know or have a better understanding of red-green axis through your original United in Hate. But the concept itself is, I apologize when I give you like a minute or two to explain something. But on this one, on the expanded version, United in Hate discussion today, there is a chapter that is, I feel like it is so crucial for people to read it and then read it again. And that is where you explain the believers. So let's go there, because that is like, in my head, it's like bingo. I think that's where decline of comprehension comes to play, when understanding the believers of this unity fails to deliver itself. So let's talk about the believers.
Well, thank you, Annie. Yes, because in United in Hate, I give the narrative and the story of the left's romance with the communist mass murdering machine. And then I give as the story expands, the left's romance with the Islamic mass murdering machine up till this day. And in the beginning, I have a chapter called The Believer, which is explaining the psychology, because we have to understand what is this. And it goes very deep, but we will begin in general. Here's the thing. It goes so deep that why a lot of people don't want to understand this is, in the end, this is a spiritual conflict, and this is a spiritual reality. Satan wanted to be like God, and it was a pride, and we know that he was cast down here. This is his place for a certain time. I refer to it as a certain virus. So Satan had handed this virus and injected it into human beings through original sin and through other venues. And there are those humans who succumb to it. It takes a lot of courage and wisdom not to become a leftist. And you have to believe in God, and you have to humble yourself. But the people who have this virus, they believe that they can be gods. They're self-appointed redeemers. So this is very crucial to understand, that the leftist believes that he is one of the gods or God, and he can create a perfect planet. And in order to create the perfect planet, you have to wash the planet. You have to cleanse the planet. And, I always hesitate talking about this because sometimes, right away with audiences, and I'm not saying, oh, I'm so deep and this is too much over the head of people. I don't mean that at all. But sometimes time is limited and we have to get to the essence of things. In the story of Jesus Christ, his blood redeems the earth. His blood redeems us. His blood redeems our souls. The upside down dynamic of that is that humans are going to redeem the earth. The leftists are going to build paradise on this earth. Leftists believe they can get back to Eden without God. But while Jesus shed his blood for us, the leftist believes that human blood will create the perfect planet. So this is why Mao wrote all the time about the importance of killing millions of people, why Stalin believed the importance of murdering so many people, why Islam believes in it, because Islam is creating Sharia on earth, and the left is creating a classless utopia on earth. This is very much part of this here. So leftists want to destroy their own host democratic society. They hate this society. They hate this civilization. They hate the free capitalist democratic society. This is why they cheered when 9/11 happened. They loved Ground Zero, because on Ground Zero, they can build their paradise. To make a long story short for now, in order to perpetrate Ground Zero upon which they will build their classless utopia, guess who will help them? There's people out there that also want to create Ground Zero and have created Ground Zero. And that's Islamic terrorists, that's the Sharia supporters, that jihadist supporters and jihadists. And so that alliance is formed between the left and Islam, because they will destroy the earth and then build their paradise on top of it.
Yes. Another sentence I learned from you, which I have used, is the unholy alliance of left and Islam is all about burning down America as we know it and build
Yes.
their deluded utopia on the ashes left behind. And
Yes.
and the curiosity of today, as I go back to the original time, the original United in Hate book, to today, when I think about this, Jamie, and for our audience who may not know from your comments, seems like you do know, and thank you, Dawn, for reminding me on the comment sections. You can catch the Glazov Gang, hosted by Dr. Jamie Glazov, every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on a Rumble, YouTube, my Facebook, but look up Glazov Gang on YouTube and Rumble, and that's where you can catch his show that I have the honor to produce. And we've been working together for 14 years. The work has started as work. We became friends, and we, thanks to you gifting me the New Testament 5 years before I was even saved. You refused to accept my refusal of Christ, and that's a story I have told many times. But over time, we both have to come to notice the left you talked about in your original United in Hate has turned into today of far more farther from its own original cult, and has become a international cult now. Because in 2005, 6, 7, even until 2010 for me, or 12, the cult of leftism was in America. It was maybe in some Western countries. But today, when we look at it, using certain terminologies like equal rights and women's rights and children's rights and all of that, using the tools of, for example, Islam, such as Gaza and the Islamophobia, is it correct to say we face the cultism of the left as a global danger today?
Well, absolutely, Annie. That's a very profound observation. And it's capsulated and synthesized by the leftist cheering, globalize the intifada, because it's not localized anymore. And there's many phenomena which explain this and have facilitated it: social media, globalization, etc. But yes, very much so. It's very much a global movement. It's a global infection. And the left is very powerful. And there's multi-layers here as well, because the period, quote unquote, that we just came out of, where they tried to put certain substances into human bodies, is all very interconnected with this. And this is a global thing. They're not just doing this in one country anymore. So we've got that realm there that's up to that stuff in terms of creating a global network. They're creating a new world order in which the human being will become a slave technologically. And why I'm saying that, it's very interconnected with this, because the left is the globalists, but works with the globalists as well. They're united on that level. and they use and exploit and are allied with Islam. So we have quite an alliance here worldwide. And you are correct. This is no longer just localized. It's not, at one time there was just some professor in a university with a beard talking about how great Stalin was. Now these are the rulers of the planet, unfortunately.
Yes, and they have shaped things that we talk about. And when I say we, not experts, like I'm no expert when it comes to globalism. I'm no expert when it comes to WHO. I'm no expert when it comes to digital currency. But I talk about it, and I have the understanding thanks to, well, close friendship with you, learning a lot from you. And it's that I understand these terminologies that are being thrown around. It's all under the umbrella of the same unity in hate. But unfortunately, my struggle, Jamie, seems like a lot of people, let's zoom in on America, a lot of our fellow Americans have lost or never connected the dot, or have lost the track that this is not about politicians anymore. This isn't about Obama versus Hillary versus Trump versus JD Vance anymore. It has surpassed that level. This isn't necessarily about who we're electing in offices. That is related. However, it is not the key solution to the problem. Or am I off here?
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, the politicians and leaders and presidents and prime ministers, they're just very small pawns. And of course, the unholy alliance needs to get rid of the ones that cause trouble. Trump is in their way on several levels, and they have to, and had to, and have to get rid of him. But there is a deep state, and there are the globalist elites, and this is far deeper and far larger than just political leaders.
Yes, and I hope that I have a very well-versed audience, thankfully, here. But I want you guys to grab this show, send it to other people, and then grab the link of the book, United in Hate, by Dr. Glazov. Send it to other people. Tell them to read it. Tell them to buy it. Hey, if you can afford it, buy a couple of copies and give it to those people who are not a fan of spending money on knowledge. They prefer get membership to TikTok. I don't know. This is where danger can be unnoticed when we think this is all under thumb of our politician. If we pick the right person, it's going to solve it. I'm not trying to scare you, but the reality is the power, this unity in hate, this concept that Dr. Jamie Glazov explains very, to me, very detailed in the book, United in Hate. This is where we need to understand this power is bigger than we are willing to acknowledge it. And if we don't acknowledge the enemy and its own power, defeating the enemy becomes a failure because we're not calculating the steps, we're not calculating the risk, we're not calculating where this needs to go. So yes, we need to continue cleaning house when it comes to our politicians in America, but there's more to it. There are so many NGOs and tech people and elites that are feeding into this, that if we don't stop them, doesn't matter who's in the office, as Jamie said, they get rid of them. Every other 4 years, somebody's going to take their place, on and on and on. And on that note, we got to go take our next ad break, guys. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Send in your questions. When we come back, I'm going to glance and see if you have any questions for Dr. Jamie Glazov. And in about a minute, we'll be right back to continue the discussion. Well, hello, everybody. It's Annie Cyrus. Welcome to my art studio where all the magic happens. This is the station for painting, and that is the station for all the resin art I do. If you want to check out my art, all you gotta do is go to lutfstudio.com. gotta go finish this painting, but I'm sure, or at least I hope, I'll see you at lutfstudio.com. I do hope to see you at lutfstudio.com, acknowledging that due to circumstances of everything going on, my inventory is fairly low, but there's still plenty for you to pick from. lutfstudio.com. Use promo code MISSION for a 10% special discount on all items, and Lord willing, soon, if the weather at this point allows, because my basement is completely frozen, including my resins, but I will start pouring more and listing more. I got to give a special shout out to James Richardson on Facebook. Good to see you, mutual friends of me and Jamie Glazov. Great man. One of these days I need to get James on my show as well. Thank you, everybody. I am seeing your comments. I will let Dr. Jamie Glazov know that you are fans of him and his work. And Annalise, I absolutely agree. Dr. Glazov does understand the red-green axis very well. As I just said, I learned a lot from him in last 14 years when it comes to red-green, because as you know, I'm an expert on the green. And I learned a lot about the red side of things from Dr. Jamie Glazov. Okay, let's bring Jamie back on so we can continue. I'm constantly worried we're gonna run out of time before we, at least I, get all of my, or most of my questions in place. Jamie, one of the misconceptions, I feel like misconception. Let's bring it back, as you said at the beginning, to Iran right now. Saying unbiased, not getting personal with it myself. Day 44, as you said, numbers are anywhere from 30,000 to 100,000. Me and you, we know, and most people know why left is very quiet about it, and that's fine. I'm going to ask you the hard question. Why is the right so quiet about it?
Well, that's another great question. And I would say that it's because of the control of our values by the left, that a large section of the right has fallen into this deception and into the main ingredients of leftist thinking. And we have to remember that the virus that I discuss in United in Hate, it doesn't just belong in one political category. It can infect many, many people. But the way that it infects the left also becomes infectious, especially when the left rules over our culture. So when the left's principles rule the culture, then the people who are inside the culture might think that they're conservatives, but they still have this virus. Look, I want to just crystallize just one thing here. There's just the psychology here of the leftist, and of course of the many people right now just completely ignoring what's happening in Iran. When I was in university in academic studies, this is the best example. And there would be these leftist feminist scholars there, and they were very, very for women's rights. Oh, just women's rights, just, oh, we got to have 4 abortions, 5 abortions, 6 abortions. This is how women's rights was thought about. And I would approach them and say, hey, you know, I've got a petition here. You care about women's rights. I have a petition here, what's happening in the Islamic world in terms of female genital mutilation, in terms of honor killing, in terms of forced veiling, in terms of forced marriage, in terms of child marriage. Can you just sign this here and just get involved in this movement we have, and this effort we have? And the effort, by the way, includes holding Islam accountable. And they would just turn ashen white as if they've seen a ghost, and they want nothing to do with me. They want nothing to do with this petition. Today, they want nothing to do with helping and supporting and allying themselves with Iranian women who just want the right not to wear a black garbage bag over their face and over their body, and who have acid thrown in their face because of that, and are murdered and raped because of that. If you support women's rights, why wouldn't you support that? Why wouldn't you support, when I say that, I mean a woman's right to be free under that system. And that's what United Hate is about. And the things that I find and expose, I would say, again, the majority of people do not want to know or to face, because ultimately these people in the West, they don't care about women's rights. They want to destroy our society. But the historian David Potter has written about something called negative identification. And the sociologist Paul Hollander wrote a lot about this in terms of the left's alliance with these totalitarian movements. They actually support this. And a lot of people say, oh, Jamie, that's too much. I don't believe this. But these are the people that continue to be confused. They continue to be incredulous. They'd rather just be completely in the dark and think it's all crazy. But sometimes in life, you have to accept the truth. And one day, I hope they will accept the truth that in the left, why there is a silence is because these people support and enjoy what is happening to the Iranian people at the hands of the mullahs. This is a very malicious, evil, satanic movement. And unfortunately, Annie, as you bring up, it's infecting the mindset of people on the right, because among conservatives and among people in general, Kenneth Levin has written a book called The Oslo Syndrome. It's an analysis of how people operate under siege. And so what happened to a lot of Israelis was, we got to survive. We got to survive. Let's give you a hug. Let's give them money. Let's give them land and everything will be okay. That's not what's going to work with people who want to kill you. Unfortunately, in the West, not only the left now, but many on the conservative side cannot really face who the mullahs are and what they represent and what they want to do. So they stay silent and they put blindfolds on while the Iranian mullahs massacre an entire population.
Yes, and of course, as you know, my questions always, I have a reason to be asked, because I have been trying. Of course, I get the backlash, and it's okay. I have thicker skin, but I've been trying to explain to people out there that we sit here and we acknowledge who the left is. We acknowledge their cult, we acknowledge their system, we acknowledge their agenda. But what we don't understand is we have allowed them to control the narrative to the point where our reaction match their narrative. Because let's go back to the very recent time that theory was proven, and I was one of the people on camera saying, I told you it's going to happen. From 2020, early 2020 until 23, early 24, the entire United States of America proved that when the left comes out, and by left, I don't mean just politicians, the left ideology comes out and say, we're going to lock you down, we're going to mask you up, we're going to shut your life down, and then in order to gain any of those rights back, you're going to have to inject yourself. Well, 95% did it. And you can't claim 95% of Americans are left. No. Majority of the conservatives and the Christians and the independents, including, they did it because they didn't want to lose their paycheck. They didn't want to lose their friends. They didn't want to lose the invitation to Thanksgiving dinner next year. These are the issues which you just explained. Now, from here, we go to the next question. How does a nation... Yes.
And just to add to that, thank you. What did they want to do with us, the people who didn't want to go along with it? And they were able to do certain things with us, like make a call when they saw us in the sunshine somewhere. They made a call and we were, et cetera, et cetera. But imagine if they had total power, what they would have done with us and what they wanted to do with us. I'm so sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
No, I'm glad you did. Yes. And that was that is exactly where the question goes. How does a nation, we're going to stick with America for now, for today. Again, I'll repeat, guys, get a copy. Sherry, I saw your comment. Thank you for picking up a copy of United in Hate on Amazon. Guys, pick up a copy. I want to be very clear. You all know me. This isn't me having Jamie on because we've worked together for 14 years, this and that. You know me, but I don't endorse. When I endorse is because it is urgent, it is important, and it is crucial to do, including this book. I just showed you my copy. So look, I have mine. I have not finished reading the entire book, but I have made progress to an extent, and I will finish this by end of the week. These kind of information is important because that spark you need every time you're like, wait, what happened? Or how is this happening? As Jamie said, why would that happen? Those sparks will turn into full conclusion when you read material like this book. And again, you can look at some of the reviews of his books previously, such as, the original United in Hate or Obama's Legacy or Jihadist Psychopath, any of his book, you'll see that I love his pen style. As I said in Farsi, we say pen style. The way he writes, everybody understand. He doesn't write it in such a scholarly way that you feel so overwhelmed. So pick up a copy. Now, back to the question is, Jamie, how does a nation, let's say America, how does a nation that is willing to allow an absolute upside down satanic culture override its values, its constitution, its liberty in action, how does this nation survive?
Well, that's a great question, Annie, because what we're seeing happening right now is a mass suicide. It's our civilization is literally committing suicide. And the left, it's because the left is in control. So we would have to have the intestinal fortitude and the courage to stand up against certain values and thinking patterns that the left has imposed. We would have to have the courage to do that. For example, we would have to have the courage to say Islam rather than radical Islam or Islamism, etc., which our culture cannot do because it's just too frightening what the implications would be. And it's too frightening to accept what the truth is on that. So I would want to just crystallize one of the problems here where the left is so clever in how it's succeeding in our suicide. So what the left has done is, yes, we all know racism is bad. But what the left has done is it's made this insult and this slander and libel of you being a racist, it's made it all encompassing. It can call you a racist for almost any reason now. And people are so terrified of being called that term and that word that they'll do anything not to be labeled in that way. This is where the left is very clever. So it's been molding this for decades. Don't be racist. Don't be racist. Again, I don't know. It's so unfortunate we even have to keep saying this. It's a given that racism is bad. The issue is not that we're defending racism. The issue is to stand up against how it's manipulated by the left. My point here is, in terms of the unholy alliance, what the left did is, you don't want to be a racist. Now, let's racialize Islam. So Islam is not a race. But what the left did very cleverly is it manufactured a certain way of understanding Islam, that Islam is brown and black minorities who are oppressed and colonized by white supremacists. So if you are against Islam, you are a white supremacist and a racist and a colonialist. And people are terrified to be labeled in that way. So this is very clever. So now if you want to stand up for the Iranian people, well, you're standing up against Islam. And if you're standing up against Islam, then you're a racist. See, this is part of the paradigm of what the left has done. It's a very evil, malicious tactic that they've incorporated into the power struggle. And they're destroying our society, and people are terrified to take a stand. And ultimately, Annie, one of the things people are going to have to do is not care what people call them.
That has worked out just fine for me. Over a decade of being called bigot, Islamophobe, racist, and other names, and I'm still here, guys. I'm still, you'll be fine. But I agree with everything you said, of course. I will also, now I'm going to narrow it from our fellow Americans. I'm going to narrow it to our fellow sisters and brothers in Christ. Jamie, we know, even if they came to Christ and never even owned the Bible, just, went to church once, we know the command is to tell the truth regardless of consequences. That is, like, I'm sorry to be so simplistic here, but that's Christianity 101. So an earthly label shall never stop a Christian from telling the truth, regardless of consequences. Again, regardless of consequences. Our churches have failed us so miserably. And when I say churches, I'm not just talking about the building. I'm not just talking about the pastor. I'm talking about all of us as the church, the Christians in America as the church. The failure has been, this is not judgment, this is factual. The failure has been visible. Again, not just against Islam, also during COVID, during time before that, election, for all of that. The failure has been very clear. And unfortunately, because we're coming to an end of the show, in about a minute or two, address the church as the body of Christ, we, the Christians of America, or the world, if you like, address the church.
Well, thank you, Annie. And you are correct. There is, look, Satan knows where to infiltrate. He doesn't waste his time with places and things and people he already owns. He has to get into the terrain that's a danger for him. So he infiltrates the church. And we know from the Torah, the Old Testament, we know from the New Testament, there's a lot there that it's going to get worse before it gets better. In Catholic theology, we know as well, and in some of the prophecies and revelations, there will be an infiltration. There will be a great apostasy in the end. We know as Christians that there will be an antichrist in the end. And so it's going to get worse before it gets better. But even the leadership for a certain time, tragically and unfortunately, will be on the other side. And as Christians, we have to fight against that. And, Jesus said that blessed are you when people abuse you and persecute you for my sake. And your reward will be great in heaven. But there will be martyrs. And we have to be one of those, Annie. We don't want to be safe. And we have to, vocalize the truth. And right now, what a shameful and shameless silence about Iran, and in a Christian context, as Christians, we support even non-Christians that are persecuted. But how about the persecution of Christians in Iran, the persecution of Christians in Pakistan, what's happening to Christians in Nigeria? Such a loud silence on behalf of the Christian world in the West. And it's a great betrayal. And it's disgusting. And we see that they're serving a certain power. And so thank you, Annie, for being one of the brave and courageous ones that put yourself on the line to keep speaking. So as Christians, we have to recognize that this is part of prophecy, but we have to continue, getting our voices out there, even at our own risk, because as we know, they're threatening us. And the mullahs themselves have made several statements in the last few weeks that they're going to get the people even outside Iran that speak. This is happening worldwide, even against Christians, but even non-Christians.
Yes, as very dear friend of mine, a fellow Iranian American, always tells me, is yes, as Christians, we pray even, for our enemies, but we also need to start defending and being a voice for non-Muslims as well, because Islam doesn't ask you, are you a Christian? Are you a Jew? Are you an atheist? Hey, they don't even ask you if you're a Muslim. You don't fit their Sharia. Even as a Muslim, they will torture you, they will rape you, and they will kill you. That is why, no matter what, as Christians, we have to be the voice of all humans out there suffering under the tyranny of Mohammedans also known as Islam. We are unfortunately at the very end of our program, Jamie. As I said, hopefully I get to have you back so we can discuss this topic further. But for our audience, what are the best places, one, to get a copy of your book or few copies? Also, where can they go to follow you and your work and watch Glazov Gang?
Annie, if you don't mind, first I just want to say that in all of my work and in all of my dedication to this, there's so much frustration and heart-wrenching sorrow a lot of the times in terms of people's indifference and their treachery and their betrayal. I just want to tell you, Annie, that you're somebody who so genuinely in her heart believes in human rights and in freedom, and that has sleepless nights worrying and thinking about persecuted people. And in Hebrews in the Bible, it says, think of those in prison as though you were in prison with them. And you're a human being who genuinely lives by that value and instruction by our Lord. And I just want to thank you for who you are and what you do.
I
And
appreciate that. That means a lot.
ladies and gentlemen, united in hate, well, go to frontpagemag.com, go to amazon.com or jamieglazoff.com, or just keep watching Annie Cyrus on her shows because she'll tell you what to do.
Yes, and make sure to go to Jamie's website, jamieglazoff.com. It is on the lower third, just in case if you need help with the spelling. jamieglazoff.com is where you can get all of his work and watch all of the shows that we put out every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Pretty much we've been doing it for 14 years, and Lord willing, we're planning to do it for another 14 and another 14. Thank you again, Jamie, for being here. Keep up the good work. Be safe, and well, I'll see you Thursday. I mean, Jamie, I will see you Thursday.
Thank you so much, Annie. And I don't know if people know this will be another show, but there was a few times, but one time in particular where our show hit a major brick wall, and I was sulking and a few tears were welling up in my eyes. And Annie Cyrus gave me a call and explained what we can do to save the show. And she was correct, and she helped save it. And Annie, you're a guardian angel in my life, and you helped me find a lot of fulfillment and happiness in my career. And I'm very grateful to you for that.
Absolutely. It has been a pleasure every single day of last 14 years, and we'll keep doing it as long as we can,
Okay.
Jamie.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for having me on.
Absolutely. To my lovely audience, I strongly suggest, again, grab a copy of the book. Especially if you haven't read the first one, I say grab a copy of both the original United in Hate and the expanded version that just came out. Go to jamieglazoff.com, catch up with his work. Front Page Mag is where you can read his articles and follow him. Again, 14 years is a long time to get to know someone and to trust them. Jamie is one of those rare people. Before we wrap up for today, as I said, I'll be here tomorrow. It's just me and you, so we catch up on the comments. But I want to remind you, because I skipped one of the ad breaks. Remember, this show would not happen if it wasn't for Brennan House generously allowing me to sit here Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., and do a show using his platform, his control room. He pays the producer's fee, not me. The bandwidth, the website, the posting, all of that is out of Worldview 2 pocket, not mine. So as I always say, I'll say it again. Please make sure you're supporting the network. Worldview Tube Network needs your support because Brennan has refused to become somebody's, project. This whole network is listener and viewer sponsored network. So worldviewtube.com is where you can get all the shows, you can share them, you can watch them. Within that website, you can also become a Vault member where you pay a monthly or an annual fee and you get access to over 30 years of research, report, documentaries, interviews, books, you name it, you'll find it there. So become a Vault member. I make this, some people think it's a joke. It's not. cancel your Grok membership and become a Vault member, and you'll see the difference. And you know for a fact you're getting the truth and not some biased algorithm behind Grok. And also, last but not least, you can support Worldview Tube through Worldview Foundation, where you can make 100% tax-deductible donation through the foundation, and the foundation does cover some of the cost of the network. So that one is www.foundation.com. That's www.foundation.com. Do support the network, because as I said, without this network,
you woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work, try to see a doctor this week, or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to Worldview Health